What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of What If Countries Formed an Empire. In this video, we will be seeing what if Finland formed an empire. For this scenario, Finland will be buffed, and NATO and other major alliances will not be a thing, such as CSTGO. First thing they do is make a naval landing on the islands of Estonia. They use those islands to slowly push into Estonia, slowly pushing in, flooding into Estonia, taking over all of Estonia fairly quickly, and integrating them into the Swedish Empire. They're going to fully annex Estonia like so. Here we see Sweden and Finland making a short pact to invade Norway together. Here we see Finland and Sweden slowly starting an invasion into Norway, and Finland's not going to be doing much in this war. Their main goal is just to take the territory directly north of them, but Sweden is going to struggle a lot with this, so Finland's going to send lots of troops down into Sweden to back up their Norwegian invasion and advances, while Finland kind of controls all of the northern territory over here. There's practically nobody living here, so they all just surrender over to Finland and Sweden, and Sweden's going to make a slow push into Norway, creeping up along the coast, but they're going to be pushed back a lot. Here we see Norway fighting back for Oslo, slowly taking back their capital, and they're going to take it back, start a defensive. They had lots of troops on this siege, so it's going to be really hard for them at the start, but they are going to slowly push up northern to their offensive, slowly pushing back against them, but they are going to start encircling areas north of Oslo to slowly gain a surrounding of Oslo, and they're also going to spearhead down, slowly creating major encirclements until they encircle Oslo halfway, and they take over Oslo. Here we see Norway surrenders, and they peace out. Here we see this as the peace treaty, and Finland gets lots of war reparations because Sweden got so much land, and they're going to use this war reparations to assimilate Estonia better. After this, we see Finland and Latvia kind of having a pickle in the Balkans, and they're going to have a border crisis, so Finland's going to have to declare war on Latvia for a border crisis. But here we see Finland quickly invading Latvia. No wonder, they had lots of troops on their border already. Latvia wasn't expecting this. They had a border crisis, but Latvia quickly surrenders and joins Estonia under the rule of Finland. Here we see Finland trying to make an anti-Russia alliance, and a few countries start to join this alliance very fast. Here we see Ukraine, Poland, and Latvia, along with the nation of Georgia joining. After we see this form, we see Japan and South Korea actually want to join in on this alliance, so they go ahead and join in. So with this anti-Russian coalition happening, Russia is going to declare war on the coalition because, they think they're all powerful, but they're only doing this to try to get China to join in because they do have beef with South Korea and Japan, but this is not going to work as China, it knows it should not get involved because of their current relations with the West and everybody around them, and they don't want to get into a war with India too, so they're going to stay away from South Korea and Japan. Here we see Russia pushing into Finland, with the help of Belarus, and Belarus is going to push into Poland, and Poland's going to be like, oh wow, how dare you do this? And then they're going to resume their invasion into Ukraine like so, looking something like this, and Ukraine's going to be like, alright, finally we're getting some help. But we actually see some minor success in Asia. So there's nothing Russia can really do here. There's some population over here, but Japan and South Korea are absolutely going to destroy Russia on this front, and they're not going to really care. Russia's not going to care about this much. But Japan is just going to struggle. Seoul is going to be captured, joining up with Japan. And they start invading into the colder parts of Russia. Russia's not going to really care. But we are going to have Poland, Ukraine, and everybody making a pushback due to the help of so many different countries joining in to aid some of these countries in the defeat of Russia. So they're going to start a push into Belarus to sort of reach up to Finland and block off the Polish invasion, and that's going to work perfectly with Belarus struggling. Belarus is very split, I'd say, in my opinion, with Russia and not wanting to join Russia, thinking Russia is oppressive, but that's just in my opinion. I think Belarus is more split than it actually is. But I do think that Finland would kind of win in this area. But as soon as this happens, Russia riskingly launches an invasion of Finland from St. Petersburg. Now, this isn't going to be very effective, since Finland's just going to use the cold to their advantage and quickly push Russia out, surprisingly. And we see the White Death 2.0 slowly invading into Russia instead of defending against Russia this time. But they are going to slowly capture some parts of Greater Finland, pushing along this border. They're not really going to care much about this, but as soon as they split this off, Russia's going to lose so much resources, and this is going to surrender, with them making a naval landing right there. And Ukraine's actually going to successfully push back a lot of their captured territory from Russia due to Russia being slowly distracted more and more by Finland, Poland, and everybody else. And this is going to suck for Russia because Russia just lost Crimea. Now, I think Crimea would want independence from Ukraine, but they would not rebel against Ukraine yet. They would probably ask for independence after war. But here we see this whole region rebelling very fast with Georgian support, and Georgia's going to slowly invade. Well, they had invaded. This is post. I didn't draw this, but this is the this is the rebellion in this area. They're not going to do much more than that. They're just going to try to hold. They're not going to be too ambitious as a rebellion yet, but I do think they have a future as a very ambitious country. But Ukraine's going to invade into Russia, slowly starting a massive push into Russia, changing the tides of their war with the help from Finland and everybody. And Finland and Poland are going to send massive aid to the Polish front, over here, and Ukrainian front. So here we see them pushing along the border, slowly pushing back Belarus. Many Belarusians are going to flee into Russia, and they're going to surrender all the way over to Poland, with St. Petersburg slowly surrendering on over into Finland, And here we are going to see a peace treaty happening, but not after we see massive invasions into the colder parts of Russia and what has been happening here besides from the European areas. I didn't really want to focus on this because this is so far away from Finland, but this will look like that. And let's see this peace treaty. Here we see this being the peace treaty in Asia, with Japan gaining this, the island of Seoul, and a little bit of Russian land there. Ukraine's going to become a beast. Georgia's going to become a beast, and we see this new Caucasus state forming. And here we see the grand extent of Finland growing very large and becoming one of the best Finlands I've ever seen. And Lithuania is going to split Kaliningrad with Poland. Poland's going to gain some land from Belarus. Ukraine's going to get the most land out of Belarus. And they're also going to annex Crimea, with Crimea wanting to join up with Ukraine for the economic benefits. Surprisingly. Oh wow. And Russia's going to be installed with a democratic government, and everybody's going to support this democratic government, with key methods being placed to keep Russia democratic, managing their government to an extent with Western ideology, preventing another Russian superpower against the West. That will be it for the extent of the Finland Empire. This empire is the best empire I've made besides Angola. So let's go. Goodbye, everybody. Can't wait to see y'all in my next video.